Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive.
Mhm.
And today we're tackling something I know a lot of you are interested in, which is how to make English a natural part of your everyday life.
Mm.
Just like brushing your teeth.
Mhm.
We're going to be looking at some advice from Emma over at the English YouTube channel.
Oh, I love her.
She's got some really cool ideas for making English practice something you enjoy and look forward to.
Yeah, it's not about those rigid, study schedules or those endless grammar drills. It's about making English a natural part of your daily routine, like you said.
Exactly, and it's something you can look forward to.
Yeah.
One of the things that Emma talks about right off the bat is pronunciation,
Mhm.
which is something that a lot of people kind of overlook.
Yeah, especially even seasoned language learners will kind of skip over that. And I find it so interesting how much emphasis we tend to put on vocabulary and grammar when really clear pronunciation is kind of the thing that brings it all together.
Yeah.
She even tells this story about how, advanced learners with impressive vocabularies can still struggle to be understood if their pronunciation isn't clear.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
like we've all been there, right? Like you're talking to someone and they're technically speaking English,
Yeah.
but you can't quite understand what they're saying. It's like trying to read a book with blurry ink. It's just frustrating for everyone.
And think about it on the flip side, too. Even for yourself, if you know that you're being understood, you're going to feel more comfortable expressing yourself.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it's not about erasing your accent entirely. It's more about fine-tuning those sounds
Right.
to make sure your message is coming across crystal clear.
Okay, so pronunciation's important.
Hmm.
What are some things that we can actually do to make that a daily habit?
Well, one of the things that Emma recommends is to become familiar with the International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA.
The IPA, I'll be honest, I've always been a little bit intimidated by the IPA.
Yeah, I totally get it. It can look really daunting at first with all those symbols, but think of it this way. It's kind of like a map for all of the sounds in English.
Okay.
So, imagine you're trying to navigate a new city without a map. You might eventually find your way, but it would be so much easier with that guide. The IPA is that guide for English sounds.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it just breaks down all the building blocks of pronunciation so you can really hone in on where you need to focus your practice.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So we've got our IPA map in hand. What kind of exercises does Emma recommend?
Well, she's a big fan of what she calls imitation lessons. So you watch short videos of her demonstrating specific sounds, and then you try to mimic her pronunciation as closely as possible. She even recommends recording yourself and comparing it with hers.
Oh, that's a good idea.
To kind of pinpoint where you need a little bit of extra help.
It's like having a pronunciation coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
Awesome. So what else?
Well, this is a classic technique that's really stood the test of time. Just reading aloud for a few minutes each day.
Oh, yeah.
This can really help train your mouth muscles to just produce those English sounds more naturally.
I used to do that when I was learning French, and it really helped.
Yeah.
Like just getting used to the rhythm and the sounds and everything.
It's like going to the gym for your tongue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what else Emma recommends? Singing along to English songs.
Yes.
I'd love that.
It's so fun and engaging, and you're kind of absorbing those sounds and rhythms without even realizing it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like work.
Exactly. And that's really at the heart of Emma's approach, right? It's about finding ways to weave English into the things you already love doing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, so we've talked about making pronunciation a daily habit.
Mm.
The next thing that Emma talks about is absorbing English,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds a little bit like osmosis for language learning.
A little bit.
So I'm really curious about this one.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly does she mean by absorbing English,
Yeah.
and how can we actually make it a part of our routine?
Well, it's kind of like immersing yourself in the language, like
Yeah.
a warm bath. Surround yourself with English in a way that feels natural and enjoyable. So this could be anything from listening to podcasts or audiobooks to watching movies or YouTube videos, reading books, or even just scrolling through English language social media.
So it's not about like forcing yourself to study textbooks. It's about finding those little pockets of English that already exist in your life
Exactly.
and amplifying them. I like that.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is that there's so much flexibility. You can really tailor it to your own interests. Emma has a great example of this YouTube channel called Sailing La Vagabonde.
Oh, yeah?
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of that one.
It's about this couple who are sailing around the world documenting their life. And they're not language experts or anything, but their videos are just full of, authentic English conversation.
And you can learn so much just by listening to people talk about the things that they love. It's like you're picking it up naturally.
Exactly.
But with all these options out there, how do we even start to make this a daily habit?
Yeah, Well, one thing that Emma really emphasizes is scheduling dedicated absorption time each day.
Okay, so like blocking out time in your calendar.
Exactly. Like you would for a meeting. But this meeting is with your English skills.
I like that. But I imagine for a lot of people that can be tough to find that dedicated time. You know, life gets in the way.
Yeah, you're right. Life can get pretty hectic.
Yeah.
But even if you can't find like a big chunk of time, just try to look for those little pockets throughout your day.
Okay.
Maybe it's listening to a podcast on your commute, or watching a quick English video while you're cooking dinner, or even just switching your phone settings to English.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Just little things like that.
Yeah, like finding those hidden treasures of time that you didn't even realize you had.
Exactly.
So any other tips for like making the most of this absorption time?
Yeah, Emma suggests keeping a notebook handy to jot down any new words or expressions that you come across.
Okay.
And, you don't have to write down every single word. Just focus on the ones that really spark your curiosity or that you think you might actually use in a conversation.
Like creating your own little vocabulary treasure chest.
Exactly. And then you can always go back and revisit them later.
That's awesome.
Oh.
So we've covered pronunciation. We've got absorbing English. What's the next habit that Emma recommends for leveling up your fluency?
All right, so this one might surprise you. It's daily writing.
Oh.
Now, before you panic, she's not talking about, writing novels or essays. It's all about personal writing, just for your own benefit.
Okay.
Think of it like journaling, but you're doing it in English.
You know, I've always loved to write, but I never really thought about it as a tool for language learning.
Yeah.
How does that actually help?
Well, firstly, it forces you to actually use those words and grammar that you've been absorbing.
Right.
It's one thing to passively recognize words, but it's a whole other level to actually put them into practice in your own writing.
Like the difference between reading a recipe and actually cooking the dish.
Exactly. You learn so much more by actually doing it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And another benefit is that you can use tools like Grammarly
Oh, yeah.
to get instant feedback on your writing. It can help you identify any mistakes you're making and even suggest better ways to phrase things.
So you're actively improving. Awesome. Any other tips for making the most of this daily writing habit?
Well, Emma recommends revisiting your writing after a few days or even weeks and seeing if you can improve it. Maybe you could use a thesaurus to find more advanced synonyms for certain words.
I think that's a good idea.
Or restructure some sentences. It's all about constantly refining your skills.
Like turning your writing into a little laboratory.
Exactly.
Awesome. So we've got pronunciation, we've got absorbing English, we've got daily writing. What is the final habit that Emma recommends?
So the fourth habit Emma recommends is all about engaging in English discussions. But not just any discussions. We're talking about finding online communities that are centered around your passions.
Oh, so it's about like combining your love for, I don't know, photography or cooking or whatever it is you're into with your desire to practice English. That's really cool. But how do we actually go about finding these communities?
Well, Emma suggests starting with a simple exercise. Just jot down your top 5 hobbies or interests, whatever makes you pick.
Okay.
Then do a little digging online. Look for forums, groups, social media communities where people are already chatting about those things that you love.
So it's like finding your tribe, but in the context of English practice.
Exactly. You're not just talking about grammar rules or vocabulary lists. You're connecting with people who share your passions.
I love that. But it's one thing to join a group. It's another to actually participate.
Yeah, don't be a wallflower.
Right.
Engage with the community. Comment on posts. Share your opinions. Jump into those conversations that really spark your interest. It's all about using English in a real-world context, interacting with native speakers, and learning from each other.
Yeah, I think that's something I've always struggled with, like putting myself out there, speaking up in a new language. I'm always worried about making mistakes or sounding silly.
It's totally natural to feel a little hesitant at first, but remember, everyone starts somewhere. And online communities are generally pretty welcoming and supportive. Most people are just excited to share their passions and connect with others who feel the same way.
That's true. That's true. So don't be afraid to jump in, even if you stumble over your words sometimes. It's all part of the process,
Yes,
right?
exactly. So to wrap things up, I think this deep dive has been really eye-opening. There are so many different ways that we can weave English practice into our lives. It's not about these strict, rigid study schedules.
Yeah, I feel like I've learned so much.
It's about making it a natural and enjoyable part of your everyday routine.
Yeah, and I'm actually feeling pretty motivated to put all this wisdom into practice.
Yeah, me too. And as we've been talking about these habits, it's made me realize that they're not just about improving your English. They're about cultivating curiosity, connecting with others, and engaging with the world in a more meaningful way.
That's a really beautiful way to put it. So if you're feeling inspired to take action, I think we should leave our listeners with a little challenge.
Yes, I love that.
What if just for this week, you committed to focusing on just one of these habits?
Yeah.
Think about the one that really resonates with you, the one that sparked your interest. Imagine the progress you could make even in a few days.
It doesn't have to be a huge time commitment. Even just a little bit each day can make a big difference.
So pick a habit, make a plan, and let's see what we can achieve together.
Remember, even small steps taken consistently can lead to really remarkable results.
Right.
So go out there, practice with joy, with curiosity, and with the confidence that you can achieve your language learning goals.
That's wonderful advice.
Hmm.
Until next time, happy practicing.